Cool. So you folks are okay? I'm going to say hello. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Matrix Live. I have some special guests. We have, in the order that I can see them, that's Krille and Soru, and they are going to talk to us about FluffyChat. Why don't you folks say hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Soru. What is FluffyChat? It is primarily a mobile app, but it also works on the web.
Oh yes, FluffyChat is a Matrix client written in Flutter. So it is a mobile app for Android and iOS. It's a native app. It's also possible to compile it to web, so it's a web app too. And it's possible to compile it to desktop, which is a little bit experimental on Windows and macOS. But for Linux, we already have a Flutter release.
Really? So the desktop compilations, are they provided by, I guess, the Flutter group, which is Google, or is it community?
It is, I guess, a little bit part of. So the Flutter group accepts a lot of pull requests. There's already a pull request for ARM64 Linux, which is very interesting because it could make it possible to port it to the Librem 5 or the PinePhone or other Linux phones as well in the future.
Amazing. PinePhone is going to have so many ready applications because all the Qt apps are there as well. We talked to NeoChat only a few weeks ago. Now, that's
even more than iOS.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? That they're accelerating so well. Okay, so, but the code base, though, is it the same across all these platforms? Because one of the benefits of Flutter is that it's the same on Android and iOS, but does that apply to web and desktop as well?
Yes, the code base is around 99% the same. So, of course, in some places we have if statements. So we make a switch between platforms to make platform-depending stuff like importing a file to send a file or download files and such things, but everything that is about UI is completely the same.
I see. Cool. And I've been playing with it on my phone here, and I'm very impressed. I'm amazed with how much progress there's been, especially just. One thing that I thought might be a risk was that as you added more features and it became more spec compliant, some of the silkiness that you get from Flutter would go. But I don't think that that's happened. I think it still feels really fast and snappy. And it still loads really quickly. So somebody's just added to the notes. Also, non-Electron desktop. So this produces a native app, I take it.
Yes, that's a lot of people think that this is just HTML5 what we do, because how is this else possible? But even the web app is not HTML5 because Flutter is think about it that it acts like a gaming engine. So for the web, it is doing some WebGL stuff, and for everything else, it has platform depending implementations like GTK for Linux. Yeah, and I don't know what this is on macOS at all, but I just know that it is working quite well.
Okay, yeah. All right, that's amazing. So on the web, it does a total takeover of the screen, and then I guess it renders in a canvas element or something.
Yes.
Like that. Yeah. Okay. I assumed it was element based. All right. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about. We're jumping around a bit. But let's talk about you two and who you are. You're both students in Germany, perhaps, but you're also working on Matrix full time for a company in Germany. Why don't you give us a bit of an outline around that?
Zoru, do you want to start?
Zoru is actually not a student anymore. She graduated in March last year.
Congratulations.
So almost a year ago. Thank you. We work at Family. That is a German startup that does Matrix stuff. Basically, we try to bring Matrix to the healthcare industry and revolutionize it that way. And while it's all based on Matrix, we already have quite a few open source components, and as we go, we make more open source. We've already tried to contribute things back via MSCs and commenting and stuff like that.
I hope that we'll get to talk to Family in the future. We have started to arrange these calls, but there's always something happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, those folks are very busy too. Krille, what about yourself?
So in theory, I'm still a student. but I'm working full time for family, and this is taking so much time from me at the moment. I've already graduated the bachelor, but not the master yet, and I'm not sure. Maybe I dropped the master at all. Maybe I don't need it at all because
And you have a great full-time job.
yeah. So not sure if I may drop this too, like Soro,
Okay.
because we are both very happy at family, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little bit of history about the FluffyChat though, because this FluffyChat predates Family, so we should say that it's not an originally family project. Yeah, and it was absorbed into the Family group, I suppose, by taking you on full time. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the status. With some of the recent features include room directory, supporting power levels, unified push, and I thought that cross-signing was relatively recent, but I've just been told that it's not very recent. Can you talk us through your recent roadmap and recent achievements?
Zoro, do you want to start with unified push, maybe?
Okay. First of all, because you thought cross-signing was recent, what is recent is bootstrapping cross-signing.
Right. Pardon
You
me.
might have got that confused up then.
I think so.
We have cross-signing since like a month or two after Element Web declared it as stable.
Yes.
And relatively recent is now bootstrapping, cross-signing, and also online key backup.
And what is the difference between what you had originally and bootstrapping cross-signing?
With cross-signing, you have to like create a master key, user signing key, self-signing key. That just has to happen once per account. So in the past, we just said, use Element to bootstrap to set up this once.
Right.
But now it can set it up itself.
Gotcha. I think I was conflating cross-signing and bootstrapping cross-signing there.
Yeah, that could very well be.
Yeah.
And yeah, the other new thing that Zori worked on was Unified Push. That is a relatively new project which kind of evolved out of the Open Push project. Like, you might have noticed that Open Push didn't get that much activity lately, sadly, and that's why some people went together and created Unified Push.
Okay. So, talk us through. Maybe this is a nice time for a slight divergence. What is the aim of Open Push, and how does Unified Push continue that goal?
As far as Zori understands it, the original aim was to have a open protocol for push notifications on Android phones, so that you can have push notifications without the need for Firebase Cloud Messaging, so without having to go through Google Service at all.
Right.
And at the core, Unified Push defines some Android internal APIs, also open, which then different push providers can implement. What this means is that it basically, for example, if you have as a push notifier Gotify, you can install the Gotify app, install your own Gotify server, and log in. And then any app that uses Unified Push can detect, oh, hey, there's a Unified Push provider, which is Gotify, and now I will push my push notifications to the Gotify server.
Gotcha. So they just literally swap out what they would have sent to the Firebase server, the Google server, with your Gotify server.
Yeah.
Great. And FluffyChat supports that fully now, does it?
It's still experimental.
Okay, sure. I mean, of course. And Gotify itself, how stable is that system?
It's not in upstream Gotify yet for the Android app. You still need a fork of the Android app for that, which is in the F-Droid repository of Unified Push.
Right.
There's a little short instruction in the FluffyChat README, and there's also a Unified Push support room.
Fab. That's
because it's Unified Push, it's it's a standard for push providers. It means that anyone could write their own push provider, which is not Gotify, but something else.
Certainly, I mean, one thing that we often talk about on Matrix Live is the importance of starting with the protocol rather than the implementation. I think we all recognise that. So some of the other features then, these are sort of nice to haves, I suppose. The room directory, is that something that's going on?
Yes. maybe I could start with the screen sharing now.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay. Okay. I hope you see it. So
Yeah, we do.
this is, by the way, a little work in progress new design I'm working on for FluffyChat, which is not yet released, but here we see the room directory, which we have named the Discover page.
Wow.
Which displays public rooms in such a list. So you can also just click on it and get a little description, then tap on Join Room. I will not do this now because I'm on my Raspberry Pi and my Raspberry Pi will explode if I join Matrix HQ. But of course you have also a search. You can join other Qt rooms. And oh, FluffyChat is the first one, yeah. That's nice. And yeah, also for a good user experience, I thought it would be nice if we implement that if we type in an alias, we already search for this alias instead for the name of the room directory. And yeah, that's it mostly. It should make it just easier to discover new rooms and maybe connect people, because we thought one of the problems is, of course, the network effect. So if someone switches to Matrix, none of his friends may switch to Matrix, but maybe you can find new friends here. And yeah, that's the Discover feature so far.
I like it very much. Yeah, that's very cool. So you had already introduced the room directory feature, but then you've added a new tab for Discover, which improves the UX there. That's superb. So the other question I had about features were, well, I suppose mostly stuff that you are already done with in a way, which is that E2E is working perfectly. We often wonder if there's problems with implementations, and people need to have confidence that their messages are going to be sent and received. But for FluffyChat, I've had zero issues, and I've just found it to be really consistently great. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I guess all kudos here to Zoro, because she's a super smart brain here from us.
Yeah, and the other outcome of this has been that Zoro has written a series of guides to E2E implementation.
Yeah, yeah. The guide kind of like came out of, well, how Zoro implemented various things for FluffyChat. Yeah, the guide currently goes over how to implement emoji verification and then cross-signing. And also bootstrapping and online key backup. Zoro also plans to write another guide, because in FluffyChat we also have a lot of tricks to make E2E smoother, so that messages are delivered faster, lots of fail-safe recoveries and stuff and the like. So she thought of making like another guide to compile all different kinds of tips and tricks you could do to improve E2E.
I see. What is the Olm implementation used by FluffyChat?
It's libOlm.
libOlm, this is the CLib.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and that's another advantage of Flutter, I suppose, is that you can directly access that.
Yeah. We have FFI bindings, Dart FFI.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a couple more topics. The first one I've just written is Apple App Store fun. So you are live now on the iOS App Store, is that right?
Yes, that is right. Thanks to you, Benta.
Well, I don't know, but it's good to... Dealing with Apple can be inconsistent, let's say. So it's good that you were able to deliver this week, and it's great for your users that they'll now be able to directly install it from the App Store. Have you seen an uptake in new users this week?
Yeah, maybe. So at least I've published FluffyChat to a lot of stores now, and the Apple Store was most complicated because they have a lot of restrictions.
Yes, certainly.
There. And the opposite, I have to say, the most easiest store was the Open Store from Ubuntu Touch,
right,
where you can just upload your click package, and then you can reach the main developer of the Open Store. He's a very, very nice guy. who helps you with every problems, and that was the best experience. And Apple was the most complicated experience, I guess. They just want to have high quality apps at all, and maybe the concept of a decentralized messenger is a little bit new for them.
Yeah, so taking the time to explain that, and then just figuring out which specific features that they've thought you were missing, it turned out to be not too bad. But yeah, I see both sides here. I respect Apple's efforts to curate, but at the same time, their review process it's inaccessible to a lot of people. So.
And a lot of work for even developers who are working alone on a project. It can be very complicated.
Absolutely.
And even developers who don't want any money from it, who just want to open source free apps.
Yeah, no, it's hard to get that balance for Apple, and I'm not sure they always succeed. But we don't have any control over that, so we must only act on the things that we can control. All right, last thing then from me is, what's the next thing for FluffyChat?
I guess the bootstrapping was a little bit buggy because Zoro has implemented it, and then I thought, okay, I can do some refactoring here, and then I've totally destroyed it again.
Right.
And yesterday I fixed it again, and now it is working like it was in the starting. And this will be more come out from the experimental features. And we are going to make end-to-end encryption enabled by default for chats.
Oh, so for new chats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I hadn't realized it wasn't on by default for new chats, but okay.
There's still a few E2E features we need to implement until then. Mainly the fallback key, so that we don't have OTP exhaustion and dehydrated devices.
I see.
Oh yes, and maybe I can share my screen again. Yes. The new design of the app, what I was talking about, is something that might be very interesting in the future. I have implemented a new page on the left side here, which is supposed to be a contact list, which technically are just the presences sent to the app. So you can see here who is online at this moment, so you can pick someone and start a chat with them. For example, here Benpa is online. Let's start a chat. And also we have the status message, which is, in my opinion, a quite nice feature, which is not in the context of rooms and not very used at the moment in the Matrix ecosystem.
That's right. Where is that status message coming from?
It's part of the presence module of the Matrix spec.
Right.
Element just doesn't implement it. Neko implements it, sort of things, and maybe some other clients. Not sure who all implements it.
And Revolution is implementing it quite nice.
Yes.
Revolution? What's Revolution?
An Element web fork that Zoro has been casually working on.
Ah, I didn't know about this. And it's supposed
you might have heard about it. It's with emoticons and custom emotes and stuff like that.
Right. Yes. Sorry. Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
That's what that's how I recognize it.
Has a labs feature for status message that, however, sends state events to DM rooms.
I see.
And that is not what we're doing here. We're using the status message from the presence module of the spec.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is another way how you can communicate a little bit with your contacts and your friends. And this is supposed to be a contact list, which are just the direct messages. The users from the direct message rooms you are in. And the users from groups you have not a direct message with will appear here. That's the first concept. Will appear here if they set a status message. So it may be another way to find new friends for you if you are using FluffyChat and feel lonely.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, all these features make so much sense. It's just a case of prioritization, and it's great. I mean, this is a good example of where having other clients and other parts of the ecosystem can prioritize different features. So it's really phenomenal to see. Thank you for sharing that. Were there any other topics you wanted to cover before we say goodbye? Either of you?
Sorry, wanted to point out that the open push, which we talked about earlier, would have not been possible without S1M. That's the main person behind it, and it's pretty awesome. They basically organized it and wrote the Android lib, fixed up the Flutter lib and stuff like that, so that we had it rather easy on implementing it.
That's great. Okay, that's S1M, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll mention them in the notes. Okay then. Thank you both. Thank you for appearing on Matrix Live. Thank you for working on FluffyChat all this time, and thank you for everything.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.